Okay, today is September 17th. We're now in the Burr months, which is kind of fun. And my name is Megan Lloyd. I'm excited to be your host today and talk a little bit about Trello training and how you can use these funnels for your doTERRA business. I was an assistant to Patrick and Elise Chedevy years ago, and recently, over the last 8 years, I supported Callie Wilson, who's a presidential diamond, and now I do this where I help awesome people like you automate their doTERRA business, and it's been a lot of fun. I also help people find personal assistants for their business. So that's a little bit about me. Throughout the training, I'm going to show you several of the funnels that I've created. And if you have any questions, just drop them into the chat, and my assistant's going to help me stay on top of them so that I can kind of get through all of your questions. But in the very beginning, I just want to show you how Trello works if you're first jumping into it. I know some of you are already using the funnels and some of you are just getting started. And so I want to kind of lay the foundation and then get into some of the details and answer all of your questions. So welcome. Okay, let me show you really quickly just how to navigate Trello really fast. Let's see, let me pull up my screen again. And totally stop me if you all have the ability to unmute yourselves too. So if there are times when you're like, oh, I have a question about that, I tend to talk really quickly. And so if you have a question, just say, hey, Megan, can you stop and tell me more about that? Or drop it in the chat and Jennifer can interrupt me and tell me when you have questions. Okay, Trello. I'm going to show you what my boards look like. So when I create a free Trello account, you can have unlimited number of personal boards. One of the biggest questions I get from people is, do I need to pay for Trello? And the answer is no, only if you want certain features. And so you can have unlimited personal boards. And when you click on one of my funnels and you click create board from template, you can actually choose where you want it to go. And if you choose this spot that says none, that will put it on your personal boards, which means that you won't have the limitation that comes with, that won't prompt you to purchase Trello, because you can have team boards and you can have personal boards. And when you get to have too many team boards, 10 or more, it will prompt you to purchase it. And team boards just give you the ability to share it with others, create templates and those kinds of things, but you can use them for your own purposes, as many as you want. And so this is what they look like for me. You can tell if it's a template because it has the template button on top of it. And so when you first go into my funnels, you're going to click on create board from template. Let's see, I have a first question. How do you delete a template? That's a good question. So once you already have a template on your account, here we go. Let's see. So you're going to archive it. You're going to click up here on show menu, and it kind of might be buried inside of the screen. And you're going to click the left arrow over here and click more. And you can archive, let's see, close the template. Because this is a template, it's showing it a little bit differently. Let me actually show you what one of the boards looks like. So this one is one that is not. Okay, here you go. So click on more. And I believe you can close board right here if you see that on the far right. So how I got here again was I clicked up here on show menu and you can close board and that will delete that board. So good question. Okay, so the very first thing you're going to do when you open up my email with all of the template links, you're just going to click here and create board from template and put it in your none folder. And that will make it on a personal board. Now the idea here is, I know that there are so many different kind of CRMs out there, and this isn't necessarily a CRM that's going to automate different steps for you. What it's intended to do is help you to see where people are in your funnel, who needs what next step and what's coming for each person. Because I feel like when you have a lot of prospects that are in the pipeline that have maybe attended a class but aren't enrolling, or you have somebody that's just enrolled, what are those steps that each person needs to be successful and knowledgeable to continue working with you in doTERRA and to feel like they are confident in using their oils. And so that was my intention in creating these funnels, is to help you track your customers better and know what step is next and to create your own funnel. So for example, I want to show you very quickly the prospect funnel first, and we'll start there since that's the one that I think most people use the most. And this one is also probably one of my very favorites. So it looks a lot like this on your end. And the way that it's set up is I have these little template cards that will show all the different steps each person will ideally go through in your funnel. And to create a card or a template from that card, these little buttons right here, don't click on add another card, click on these little squares. Next to it says create from template. Let's say that I had somebody that I sampled with some lavender, lemon, and peppermint, and her name is Julie. And so I'm going to add her to my board. And you can see it now added in all the things that are in my template for that card. And the idea is we're just going to drag Julie along in the funnel. So the very first step is to make an initial contact with that person. If I've already sampled her, then I would probably move her to the samples to be shipped or delivered column. So whatever column they are in, that's the step that they need next. And the thing that that's really awesome about these is I put different resources in here for you to make that specific step happen. So I've included some resources with Pirate Ship, for example, for this specific step about shipping, and some things that you could include into your shipping tool set as you are getting ready to ship out supplies. If you have an assistant, I give ideas on how your assistant can jump into those processes. And so once they've been shipped, then you kind of move them to the next stage. And so what it will look like is you'll probably have some different people in every column waiting for the next step. And you can customize this. Let's say that you don't follow this specific funnel, that you do something different. Then you go over here all the way to the end of your funnel and click add another list. We're going to call this a test. And you would just drag it anywhere you want. And we're going to say this is how I do my funnel. And then you can add a new card, another card, and you call it whatever you want and add your own details here so that you know what's next for each person. And again, it's all movable. You can move everything around and make it customizable to yourself. And one of the questions I get a lot is, once you've created your process and your funnel, how do you then get that to your team members so that they are using their own funnels? Because the idea is that you are not the only person on your team that is managing people, right? So you want your own builders to have their own process that they are following people through. And so otherwise you're quickly going to run out of capacity to be able to support people. And so you want to teach your builders to have their own funnel set up as well, whatever that looks like, and they're tracking people along the way. And so what that would look like, so we know that there's the free version of Trello and the paid version of Trello. You can create templates in the paid version of Trello. And I know, and so this is a weird workaround. Some people will create the free trial of the paid version and turn all of their template or all of their funnels into templates, share them with their people, have their people add them to their own Trello boards, and then they will close down their free or their trial account for the paid version. But that way everybody can still have your specific templates instead of having to download mine. I mean, here's the caveat. They still have to go and download mine. Anybody needs to go download mine, even if they are using the one that you've adapted and changed to your own process, just so that I can let people know when I'm doing trainings like this. I can let them know if there are major updates, and that's the way that I keep them free. And so that's one way that you can still help your team get into your process, though, is just temporarily create an account with Trello, the paid account, and you have a 14-day trial period, and then you can deactivate it before you're actually charged. But that way you can create the templates. So any questions on that so far? Okay, so the cool thing about this too is that it follows a lot of the scripting that you'll find in the back to basic calls. So when you go to teaching a class or one-on-one, for example, it has a lot of the tear sheets and the documents and things like that that you'll see in the back to basics program. And same with, the reminder that Elise talks about texting people before a class. I've included those scripts here. So all of that, a lot of that content is here and ready for you. The next funnel that's really awesome, but before we move on to the prospect funnel, any questions?
There are actually 2 questions in the chat, Megan.
Yes, awesome. Okay, let me get over there. Here we go. My chat is not showing up, so let me stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat. Okay, here we go. What is the difference between adding another card and using the icon? Okay, so that's a good question. So adding another card will not include the templates that I have pre-created, which is fine if you don't want to use the template. So for example, let me show you what that looks like real fast. So she's asking, what's the difference between clicking here and clicking here? If you just click here and say, this is Julie, her card is going to come up blank and there's going to be no content there. However, if you click here and say Julie, then it's going to populate with all sorts of different things that you can use to track her. So some people really like to take notes for every single person and drop them in here, and then cross off the things that are in the funnel also on their individual cards. Other people are overwhelmed by this part and choose to just write a bunch of content about that person here, a bunch of details so they don't forget who they are and what their health concerns were. And then they just drag them along in the funnel, and not everybody actually checks off every single step here, but others really like that double detail, that double process. Okay, so other questions. How to integrate active campaigns with this to nurture your clients. Are you talking about the program, Carolyn, about that's called Active Campaign?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to know how to nurture you were talking about, if it's okay to unmute to ask my question. So you were talking about flock note or something to nurture your clients. I'm using Active Campaign. So I just would like to know, how could I make my time effective to, when I'm communicating to my clients, can I just batch them and having a system to email them?
That's a really good question. So one of the things that I recommend, so there's not like a direct integration between Trello and Active Campaigns, but what I see people do, whether you have Flowdesk or you have Active Campaigns or whatever systems that you use, that this is mostly to help you see what next steps they need. And so if there are a whole bunch of people in the welcome email column, for example, on your customer funnel, that they all need a welcome email because they've just enrolled, then maybe you would take those emails and drop them into your active campaigns. You can see what people are needing those information. And so there might be a little bit of crossover between what you're doing in active campaigns and here, but this is mostly to help you see what steps people are in and what they need next, so that then you can move them to the next part in active campaigns. And so you may actually have a whole funnel created in active campaigns, but not everybody uses that because it's a little bit more of a robust tool. So tell me how you're using it and if that answered your question.
Yes, that answers. Well, I'm using it with my health coaching program, so I just want to integrate them. But I think I'm going to use your idea. I'm just going to create basically the address and just copy them when I'm doing welcome emails. I'm just going to do them in a creative funnel with that.
Yeah, that's how I've seen a lot of people, because some people will use something like Enroll Pro or this or Streak. There's just so many different kinds of CRM processing tools. And so the idea here is that, especially as you're trying to become duplicable in your business, I said duplicable, probably not even a word, but we hear a lot that you want your business to duplicate, right? That whatever you're doing needs to be something that your leaders feel like they can then do, or else they're going to get burnt out in their business and feel like there's no way that I can do what she's doing. I can't pay for active campaigns. I can't do that. So the idea here is that Trello's free. And so if they're overwhelmed by figuring out how to manage their people, then drop them here and help them track their people so they can see people at a glance without feeling like they have to pay for some big robust tool. And even my higher ranked leaders, like Callie Wilson, for example, she's using this tool as well. And has often said, like, I won't mentor my leaders until they have their Trello board set up. And so it's not just for those that are lower ranks. It's also for those that are higher and doing bigger things, because they're seeing that it duplicates down and that it's something everyone feels like they can jump into because it doesn't cost anything. So that's a really good question. Another question is, Lori says, we are having trouble sharing. I invited my mentor to be able to view my prospect funnel, but she can't see it. Okay, so that's a good question. So let me show you a little bit about sharing. Okay, so the first step, if you haven't added this to your board, then that's the first step, because otherwise you're just going to be seeing the template board and you're not going to be able to edit anything. So let's go over to one that is not a template and I will walk you through that. Let's see, boards. Let's see. Okay, so here's an example. So to change kind of the sharing settings, you need to make sure that this is set to team, because if it's set to private, only board members can see and edit this board. So that's probably the very first step, Lori. I don't know if you've made it so it's a team board. And remember, on the free version of Trello, you can only have 10 team boards. So if you, and I think there are 8 total that I've created. And so if you end up having all 8 of mine, you're still within that 10 limit. But you would make it a team board, and then, let's see, I'm just gonna do this right now. Team boards. Let's go like this. And then what I can do is then I can invite people and view my team. Like I can, right here, I'm the little person that looks like me. Then I can change permissions. I can invite somebody else with their email address. Make sure it's the email address that's associated with their Trello account. And then you can even create an invite link that you send directly to them, so they can copy this link and add themselves to your funnel. And I know a lot of people will do that as well. And then that's one way you can also bypass the whole sharing thing with trying to share a template with your leaders. If you've finally figured out your process and your funnel and you want your leaders to also use that same process, this is one way that you can do that. And then they can sort of duplicate the funnel instead of using yours. So they would click here over more and make, they can click copy board. And what it will do is it will copy the board you have onto their account. And so that's a good question. Did that answer that Lori? Okay. Let's see, Beth says, if someone has shared their boards but didn't do it correctly, is there a way for me to put them into their own folder with her name, or do we need to start over with sharing? Beth, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell me a little about what you've got going on. So I think I understand your question, but I want to make sure.
Okay, so someone on my team shared each of her boards separately with me. And so they're now all mixed in with my boards, and I have to click through and figure out which one is mine and which one is hers when I'm wanting to use them. So is there a way for me to take her boards and put them all like someone else shared with me, but she had them all in their own separate folder like you or Callie trained us? And so I'm wondering if I can just on my own take this other person's boards and put them in a folder, or if I need to leave all of her boards and we need to redo the share.
Yeah, so here is what I would do. So when you click up here and, when we're talking about all the sharing settings, you can actually create another team. So you can change team and then right here, so you click change team and then create team, and you can call it the name of her, whatever her name is. And then you can go back in here and then click which team you want it to be. So I'm actually connected to Callie's, I'm connected to mine, I'm connecting to the Lafferty's, and yours would show up here as well for her once you actually click create team right here. And I do believe that there's a limit on how many teams you can have in the free version. I feel like it's 3, but I'm not entirely sure. Jennifer, if you have a moment to kind of research that while we're talking, see how many teams you can have on the free version, but I know you can have at least 1. And what that will look like when I go to my boards is you can see these are all my personal ones. This is all of Callie's. This is all of my templates. And so it would separate them out for you. So when you're looking at your personal ones, you're not like, which one's mine and which one's hers? And so it's a little bit more separated out for you. So good question. Does that help? Okay, cool, awesome. Any other questions before we move on to another funnel? Okay, cool. All right. So the customer funnel is the next big one. So the prospect and the customer funnel are the ones that are used the most. And this is the one that you would use for those once they enroll. What are the next steps? And this is super important to kind of figure out your process. And you do not have to do it the way that I have it here. This is just a common process that I see how other people do it. It seems to be successful. So the very, very first thing is let's get them a welcome email or a package, right? Let's get them actually, let's let them welcome them to the team. Resources here, like a welcome email template that you can go and edit. I give ideas on what you can put into a package if you actually wanted to ship something out. Some people have asked, like, what can I print and like send into a package? Here's ideas. And so there's all sorts of different resources. If you're not ready to like ship anything out, you're like, I'm just going to start baby steps with an email. That's awesome. Just like, don't feel like you have to be overwhelmed by this whole process and feel like I have to do everything in here for this to be successful. Because really it's just starting small. If the very first step is I'm going to start sending a welcome email, then phase into everything else as you grow. Don't get overwhelmed by the how much is here. Okay, so Julie had her welcome email package sent, and now she needs a lifestyle overview or wellness consult. And I've included the information, you know, the links to those to happen here. And you just want to add your Facebook groups, or, you know, if you have them all in a WhatsApp group or a team app or whatever things you have, make sure you include those things here, so that as your leaders you're duplicating your boards for your leaders, they see your specific things like, oh, right, during my lifestyle overview, I need to make sure that I mention this and send them to that resource. If we have oil camp, I want to send them there. Just make sure you include all the resources here before you duplicate them to your teams. But again, as always, please make sure that they are still going to my website and typing in their email address, even if they're using your funnels, like your edited ones, instead of just mine, because that way I can keep these free.
Megan, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we, so let's say if I have two languages, French and English. So can I just add some tasks in French and basically select the one and add some tasks? So then if I share my board with someone, then it would be available for them? Or what would be the best?
Are you asking about translating them? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. If I put different resources, because I have resources in French and resources in English, right? So how would I be able to put that on my Trello board?
Ooh, good question. So you have the resources in English. All you have to do is click add another card, like we've showed you before. And you can just say, okay, so we're going to call these ones French resources. And right now it has nothing in there. There's nothing in the card, but then you can just go and start adding your own content, which is really awesome. Cool. Very good question. Good question. And by the way, I do have somebody, I know that it will take several months for these to be finished, but I know that someone is translating them into Spanish and German currently, but it will take some time for that to roll out. Okay. Another question. Here we go. Stop sharing so I can see the screen. Okay, free training. Oh, Jennifer's telling us. Meet Jennifer. She's one of my assistants. I'm really grateful to have her here. Jennifer's keeps me organized. She says the free teams in Trello can have up to 10 open board teams at a time. How many? Okay, yeah, I knew they could have 10 boards. What was my other question? Or 10 team boards? I don't even remember what it was. Like, how many people can they share them with? Like, how many people can be on a team? So I think there was a limit on the free version, like how many people could be in a team at a time, and maybe it's unlimited. I actually can't remember. Okay, here we go.
I think the question was how many teams could you have in a free, is what you're having them look up.
Yeah, I know that's 10.
Yeah, and you know for sure can have 10 team boards, free version. I know that I can't remember if there was a limit on how many people could be a part of a team. Like if you wanted you and all of your builders to see one board, I think there might be a limit on that one. But most people get by really well with just the free version of Trello. And once you start wanting to tag people and do those kinds of things, that's when you can go further. So for example, like if you were going to, I'll show you the tagging in the other one. Through the customer funnel. Let's see, continuing ed resources. There's a whole folder here full of resources that's just awesome. Some stuff that's taken from the Back to Basics page and stuff that I've even created. And the cool thing about this is that I've linked all of the templates that were created by Dana Moore and Elise Chedevy and everybody else, so that you have them here, like the link to her PowerPoints, the link to her watching her teach those classes, the TerraPad link and the PDF for every single class, so that you just have it all in one spot. If you're just kind of getting into starting your own continuing ed series, all of it is there as well. But if you have already your process figured out for continuing ed, then you can add that as well. Let's see, so shipping again. So by the way, shipping, there's a really cool resource called Pirate Ship that actually is wholesale USPS shipping. And so you save about 30% on shipping. And It's a really awesome resource so that you don't have to spend so much on your samples and those kinds of things. And what you do is you just create an account and
so again, so we're going to start here in.
Oh, does somebody have a question? Okay. Oh, and Heather says, and it's way better than PayPal shipping. It sure is. Yeah, it saves quite a bit. Let's see. It says from the Trello help, it says there are no limits to the number of members you can have in a team or in the number of teams you can bring into a single account. That's way cool. That's really cool. That means you can use the free account for a long, long time. Raina says, can you give the name of the shipping savings again? Yeah, it's Pirate Ship, and I'll write that here, Pirate Ship. So you're literally gonna go there and be like, what is this? Because it even says like R, maybe when you like it on the website, but it really is awesome. Pirateship.com. Yeah, and unfortunately, Shauna, it's not available in Canada. So I know that we have a lot of international people here. So you'll have to see if it works for your country if you're international. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't know all the different resources that are out there for international shipping, but I do know for those that are in the US, that's super helpful. Is it Carolyn or Caroline? I never want to say that wrong. She says for shopping samples. Oh, shipping samples. Oh, so you're wondering if Pirate Ship is for shipping samples. Is that what you said? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you can ship samples from there. You can ship prizes. And so what a lot of people have found that it's much cheaper to ship their samples through Pirate Ship because you basically log into this account and you basically just add the address for the person you're shipping it to and the weight of it. So you may want to get like a shipping scale, or if you're, and they're like $25 on Amazon, but will save you exponentially over time if you just spend that $25 now, or if you use, what are they called? Those predetermined packages. What am I trying to say? Priority mail packages, but those are obviously more expensive. And so that's a way to ship your samples out cheaper. Cool, awesome. Okay, so that is, okay, let's see if there's anything else in here. Okay, so the LRP support, this is mostly, and this is one of those ones when I'm saying it, don't feel like you have to get overwhelmed by this whole process and feel like you have to do everything. But if you are ready for this, or just kind of put a pin in it and feel like this is where you want to go in the future, Betty Torres, you may have heard of her, she has the highest retention rate in the entire company. Her secret is that she basically helps people for 9 months with their LRP. So the moment that they have enrolled, and you may have heard this and it's just like, you feel like she's a superwoman when you hear her story. But what she does is she actually, when they get into the lifestyle overview, or even when she actually enrolls them, she says, are you okay if I save your login and password so that I can help you with your orders for the next months? So right then and there, they've given permission for her to help them with their orders. So it's not this awkward, like, hey, can I get your login? And it's this weird thing. It's like, oh yeah, totally, help me out. And so what she does, it's amazing. Months 1 through 2, she does their, or 1 through 3, she does their LRP for them. So in the lifestyle overview, you know, there's the spot to include their wish list for 3 months. That's basically setting up their LRP for 3 months. They've already said what they want to order. And so you're going to go to that sheet and see what they've decided for those 3 months. And then you're going to go into their account and say, hey, I'm just logging into your account and adding these things that you said you wanted for this month. Do you want any changes? Is there anything you want me to add or remove before it processes on this date? Okay, awesome. Well, it's good to go. You should see your order soon. And that's what she does for 3 months. Months 4 through 6, she actually then helps them do the LRP. So before the 4th month processes, a few days before, she says, hey, now that you kind of are in the swing of things and using your oils, I actually want to show you how to log in and change your LRP so that you can do it yourself going forward. And then so she sets up like a 15-minute call, walks them through their account, shows them how to change their orders. And then all she's doing is sending them reminders like, hey, just a reminder to go check on your account before it processes. I see it's going to process in a couple days, so you may want to update that before it processes. And then that's what she does for 9 months. And it feels like really heavy and everything, but she says, my trick is that I batch it. So on the 5th and the 25th of every month is when I'm working with people on LRP. And so it's not like every single day she's like, oh, I got to remember when everybody's LRPs are processing. She batches them. So only twice a month she's even doing this whole process. And then if you use a system like Project Broadcast or Text Magic or anything like that, you can schedule out these text message reminders to your people. And so now I have to get on a soapbox now that I've talked about Project Broadcast. Have you all heard about Project Broadcast? Okay. It's this awesome new thing that is recently, so Project Broadcast has actually been around for a little while, but what's happened is we have some, and I need to find their names, some doTERRA leaders who have created texting templates, and they're called Essential Connection Co. Jennifer, do you want to drop my links in there for Project Broadcast and Essential Connection Co. so that they can see them? And they have created texting templates. So instead of it being like a 5-digit number that your customers are texting, and then it obviously feels like a promo thing from like, you know, Target or something, it actually feels like it's from you. So the very first text message is, hey, this is Carolyn. This is my my business number. I have some really great resources for you as a customer. I'm so happy to have you here on my team. If you're ready for some more, text oils back to this number and you'll get my 5 best tips on essential oils. Could you just even imagine like what that would do? And so you can create different, they have all these templates already ready for you that you take from Essential Connection Co. and put into your Project Broadcast account. And so that you can schedule these different messages to go out to people, and they can opt into new series. Like, okay, now that they're done with that series, they can say, okay, now text pursue to this address if you want to hear my best convention tips and updates. Or so there's different things like that that you can even add your own little funnels and things too. So Project Broadcast, go check it out. That's one of the things that might help you in this thing if you want to help people with their LRP, feeling like I can't even fit in my mind when I'm supposed to do stuff. How can I remember all the LRP times for all the people I'm working with? Just schedule it out. Just schedule it, like, so text messages go out on your own without even thinking about it. That's how you do it. Okay. So that's her process. I have the scripts on what you can even send in those text messages, by the way, which is pretty cool. Even if you don't use Project Broadcast, if you just want to say in your calendar on the 5th and 25th of every month, I'm going to text these things out to my people, then that's awesome. Or you can even just put the date of their LRP processing and alert you on your phone. Like Miranda's thing is going to process on the 15th. So on the 13th, I need to text her and just have an alert go on your phone. That's one way to save costs as well. Okay. So that's kind of the main parts of this, but make sure, before I get to that question, make sure that whatever you do, even if you don't do that whole LRP support, make sure that on at least months 3, 6, and 11.5, but especially 11.5 months, you're reaching out to your customers. Because as you know, what happens on month 12 is they're going to get a charge for $25 to renew their account. And you've probably all experienced this where a customer says, what is this $25 account on my account? Like, why am I being charged $25? And so unless you've been very proactive about letting them know at that year mark, you're going to have this additional $25 charge. And it's awesome because you now get continued wholesale pricing. You're going to get a free peppermint, and you can kind of keep talking about why it's so awesome. But if they don't know it's coming, then it can be a downer and a surprise. So at least schedule time to talk with your people around that time. So then the next step would be, get them into a Business Made Easy class. And hopefully what you're doing, the ideal schedule that I've seen business builders do is every week have a continuing education going. And then at the end of every continuing education class, give a teaser to the business that's like, if you want to find out how to get your essential oils for discounted, here's a little bit of a teaser. Join me on my monthly business class to learn more. And then you have a standing business class, Business Made Easy, I think is what it's called. And all the resources are here. And then you plug them into that class where they can learn more about building the doTERRA business or sharing. And then, so monthly would be that, every week would be the continuing education. And then you're at least every other week or so doing your Essential Oils Made Easy class, which is teaching prospects about the essential oils. Okay, so there were a couple of questions that came through. Michelle Cannon, is she the one who did the the Essential Connection Amy. Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but I feel like she was one of them. Let's see.
I put all the names in there.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. Yay. Yeah. Michelle Cannon is amazing. Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay. So let me show you this again. So once somebody has kind of gone through the customer funnel and they've made all the way to this end, let's say that they decide to start building, then it's time to move them over to the builder funnel, right? And all you have to do when let's say that this was Julie again, this is our person. You're going to click on her card and you're going to just click move, and you're going to select which board you want her to move to. And then suddenly it will show up in that other board. So you don't have to duplicate all of the stuff, just move them over. Okay, some questions. Can we add a profile photo to each card? You totally can. So what I do let me pull up an image really quick that I can just drop in there and show you. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again so you can see anything. The cool thing about Trello is that you can drop in any image you want. And so like right here, I can actually just drag it and drop it into whichever card I want. And you can see that it's getting ready to drop. So let's drop it in Julie's. And while the photo uploads, it actually puts it, I don't know if you saw what it just did, but now it's the profile photo for that card. And if you want it just inside of the card, but not as the profile photo or the cover, then you just click remove cover, but you can still see the picture here, because sometimes it can get overwhelming to see all the pictures all over the place. Or you want them all over the place so you can see who is who and remember, oh yeah, that's that person I met at the grocery store. So that's how you can add pictures, and you can drop in links, you can drop in, like I can even just copy and paste images over too. So yeah, that's how you kind of drop stuff into the thing. Okay, this next board is oh, by the way, with the prospect board, that is like your ultimate names list. So let me talk about that for a second. When people are when somebody starts building, create your names list, that's the prospect board, PS. Go have them create the prospect board and just dump all of their 100 names onto the left-hand side, and then they start moving their own people along, and before they know it, they're doing the business without even realizing it. They're just kind of moving people along. So Carolyn, did you have a question? I can see your mouth ready to talk.
I just tried to look at essentialconnection.com and it was not working, so I'm wondering if there is a typo. I don't know if, no? Okay, I'm gonna try again.
Let's see. And when I clicked on it, it looks like it was working. I wonder if you need to like clear your cache so that
yeah, that's maybe. I'll try. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And Terry, yes, this will be recorded, so I'll make sure that I send this out for everybody. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's your. Let's see. So Andrea says, so you recommend that we make our account as personal so that we can do as many templates as we want. I created mine how I was taught to do so. So now I only have 10 templates now with how I created it. So Andrea, you can have unlimited number of personal boards, but if you decide to make them team boards that you're sharing them with your team members, then that's when you're limited to the 10. So I recommend putting them all in your personal account, and then maybe creating like individual teams for your other leaders, like if you want to see their boards as well. I don't know if that helped at all. Donna says, what is the best way, step by step, when you have a brand new builder join in to have them set up a new Trello account with all that I've done in the templates? Okay, so step by step, I don't really have them written anywhere, but step by step, if you want to write this down, they're going, well, I have it written down in the email that they get. That's kind of the step by step. Step by step is they're going to go to my website, and they're going to get, you know, the Trello funnels, type in their email, and they're going to get an email from me that will say, step 1 is create a free Trello account. Step 2 is click on each of these board links and then add them to your Trello account. And it shows in the videos how to create the board from template, clicking on that green button, and then it will convert it into their board. And that's really what I would do. That's really the only step. And then if you end up, editing my funnels so that they're specific to your process, then you would do what I showed you in the beginning, where you create your own little team and share the link of that board to your team members. Let me know if you still have questions on that, Donna, while I answer Shauna's question. She says, is there a simple way to move everyone's contact info into the prospect board? Also, the way you show to get your customers from the back office doesn't work. Okay, so when you talk about getting them from the back office, tell me what didn't work, Shauna.
When I get like the mailing labels from back office, it doesn't give me just my enrollees. Even if I click that, it gives me my entire organization. And I've tried talking to doTERRA and they don't have any ideas either. And my uplines have the same problem.
Yes, and that's something that I've actually noticed in the last few weeks or so, is that doTERRA is having this weird glitch. I don't know if it's because of the new back office that's rolling out or what it is, but I'm super frustrated by that.
Ours has always been like that, at least here in Canada.
Yeah, so then unfortunately, like the way that I would do it, so when it generates the report, is you might just have to spend some time in the beginning going through your people and then figuring out who's your personal people and bringing them over to the boards, like copying and pasting them. And so you can temporarily hire someone to help you out with that or whatever, but it could save you a lot in the beginning to get that going. And then maybe what you do, so it's not so cumbersome going forward, is every week, maybe it's every Tuesday at noon or something, you just schedule time into your calendar that's when you get new people from the previous week and drop them into your boards. And that way it's sort of an automated thing instead of it always being super heavy every single time you drop new people in.
So then for our, for the prospect, like if we have like a names list, say on Google Drive, is there an easy way to get them in there, or it's just copy and paste everybody?
So Google Drive does have some power-ups. Maybe this is a good time to talk about power-ups. Somebody asked about where to get the Trello funnels. I just dropped them into the link below in the comments, but power-ups, let's talk about that for a second. So there are different capabilities in the power-ups, and I still haven't explored all of them because there are just hundreds. But when you click up here on show menu, actually I need to go to one that is not a template so that I can show you. Okay, so you're going to click on more again, and then you're going to click on power-ups. And every account, if it's free, every board has one free power-up, and you can have a different power-up for every single board, but you can only have one per board for the free version. But when you click on power-ups, there's so many different things in here. And so if you type in like Google Sheets, there's things like Google Drive and things like that where you can connect things from your Google Sheets over here, but you may have to kind of explore their features. I do know that these two, if you pay for something like Automate or Zapier, which is an additional like paid service, then you can copy content from, like it links things together that normally don't talk to each other. And so that's one of the ways that if you, I wonder if that might even work for active campaigns for you, Carolyn, that if you're using active campaigns, you can use one of these to get them to speak to each other a little bit more. So look into that. I wonder if Zapier might work for you there. But yeah, as far as like copying stuff from Google Sheets, you kind of just have to, you might just have to copy and paste it still, but you can look into these as options and see if they do it that you want them to. There are a few other ones that are really helpful. Like there's the calendar view. So some people like to see, what's coming up, if they've created timelines for everybody, you can actually, instead of just seeing it in card view, you want to see in a calendar view all the things that are happening and when things are due, when people's LRPs are processing or whatever, you can put that in a calendar view. The other one is there's a card mirroring one. This one right here called card mirroring with Unito. What this means, let's say that you actually have a customer and a builder and they're in two funnels. They're in two funnels at the same time. What this does let's say that you roll someone who immediately knows they want to build a business. We're going to call this person Sam. And so Sam is now in your customer funnel and your builder funnel, but you don't want to have to copy everything over and from 2 different places. You want to keep notes and have it show up in 2 different locations. So you're going to activate that power up that I showed you here, and anything that you type here in the customer funnel for Sam is also going to show up in the builder funnel. So you don't have to figure out like, where did I write that information for Sam? And they're in both boards, because you will have that happen, as you know, where you've enrolled somebody who right away knows they want to build. That's sort of like the unicorn person, right? That they're doing both, but that's how you would manage that. So I don't have all the information about all the different power ups there are, because there are just so many, but that's something you can explore, and it can kind of be a rabbit hole. So maybe give yourself a time limit and say, I'm only going to research this for 30 minutes today. And then I'm not going to get overwhelmed by what I see or don't see. And then I'm going to come back to it another day, because the intention here is to make this simple and feel like you can use it without being overwhelmed. Okay, so we just have a few more minutes, but I wanted to talk really quick about the qualifying leaderboard. This one is super simple, but if you are mentoring your leaders, this is where you would add, instead of where it says insert name, type the name of one of your qualifiers. And then in number 2, type another name of one of your qualifiers. And then below, again, using this little square, you're going to put all of the names of this person's frontline or qualifiers as well. So what is your front line is up here, and then their qualifiers are below them. And what you do, this is where you are mentoring people. So every week when they do your 15-minute call, you're going to pull up Adam. Okay, so Adam, we talked about, and this actually pulls in the template from the builder checklist. You can just kind of, you can even create your own checklist, by the way. So if you click checklist and you're having your call, you can call this September 17th. I had a call with Adam, and here's everything that we talked about. He is going to reach out to Karen by blah, 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 date. Item number 1 that he's going to do. And you can just sort of take notes of all the things that you're talking about, struggling with blah, 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 whatever. And so that you remember all the things you talked about. I said I would send link to blah, 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 blah. Because you know, after a mentor call, there's all these things that you're thinking about, like, oh yeah, what did we say that we were going to do? You're going to do this and I'm going to do that. What do they actually need from me going forward? This is where you can keep notes of the people you're mentoring and what each of their people are struggling with, so you know how to mentor them going forward. So that's the qualifying leaderboard. The shipping board is really cool. And in fact, just this morning, sweet Jamie, she is one of the assistants in my program. She actually found a really cool power up for this. So when you click on, I actually added the power up called, let's see, I don't remember what it's called. So let's go search. So if you search shipping, there's one called package tracker. And what this does is, oh, it's so cool. Like I'm sort of stunned that I didn't know that it was here. So I actually added it. So I have this person, Sally, that I have something that I need to ship to her. So you can see now that it's activated, there's this under my power ups, something that says track package. And so I'm going to say, this is the samples for Sally. And here's the tracking number, and you select which carrier it was, USPS or whatever. It looks like they even have Canada Post. They have a whole ton in here. And once you type in the tracking number for that, you click track, as part of the, even when you click out of this, it will show like pending or en route or delivered. And so you can see at a glance where everybody's packages are, like before you even have to like click on it and go track it, which is sort of crazy. So that's pretty cool, right? Okay, so the shipping tracker, you can make this however you want. You can just have 2 columns if you want, just the queue and the done. Or some people like to see all the ones that they shipped every single month. I kind of just like the one that's in queue and done, but that's just me. Or in queue, recently shipped, and then way in the past shipped. And so you can kind of do it however you want. But if you want to delete one, you just click on those 3 little dots and click archive this list. Okay, so the builder funnel is very similar to like everything else we've talked about. You're just gonna, and this is so similar to what, you can change all this up to what you do is basically what I'm saying. But the builder funnel, the basic steps are invite them to build, send them a nurturing email, and Emily Pfeiffer, you've probably heard of her. She's fantastic. She has these different videos that she sends to people after she's invited them to build. Like, hey, it was so great catching up today. Here's some stuff about the company and the business and where we're going. Let me know if you want to be a part of this. And there's a script in there and everything. And then you kind of wait 48 hours and then follow up again, see how that went. And then she has another set of videos that she actually sends them and says, awesome, if you actually really love those, you might love these even more. And then that's where you get more into the compensation plan and different things like that. So there's some really great resources in the templates for, you know, working with new builders. Then you again wait 48 hours and then they're like, okay, I'm in, I totally want to be a part of this. And I've caught the vision, I'm excited. So then the next step is you do a business overview with the build guide, obviously. And you just kind of follow these steps and it has all the different things. And so in the build guide or in that business overview, obviously let's get them enrolled if they're not enrolled. Go over the build guide and help them set up their names list. And maybe this is where you help them set up their Trello boards as well. Make sure that they know about setting up a qualifying 100 PV LRP. They schedule their first classes, and then you get them into the back to basics training. So one of the things that I noticed that some people have a hard time with on the back to basics website is that they have to log in every time and then go figure out where they were. And so I actually just created a SoundCloud that you can click away and then you put it in your ear and just like walk away, like you're doing dishes and you can just listen to it wherever you're going and those kinds of things. So that might be easier for your people if they're listening to back to basics calls that way. Add your Facebook groups like builder groups or whatever, and then schedule your 15-minute mentor calls. And then if they're still motivated, you can go into some other stuff, but that's kind of a lot for the first call. So let them marinate on all those things and then plan a time when you're going to talk again. And then week 2 is where you're actually getting them set up for their business. This is where you show them the back office and maybe some supplies that they should get. And again, maybe some more, getting more back to basics, seeing where they are on that. And then it's like launch week. Let's actually get them registered for convention. Let's actually start massively sampling and inviting people and prepare for their next classes and setting up some regular habits of success. And then the teaching of the classes, obviously. And this has all the stuff from Elise Chedevy's, like the whole thing. So that's the builder funnel. And then the customer reactivation and builder reactivation are very similar. And you may even not want to use those funnels, but still just drop them into your regular customer funnel if there's too many funnels for you. Some people like to have them separate. I kind of think it's okay to have them all in one. But that is that. Okay, the very, very last one though. This one is, this is one that I think you're really gonna love. This is the project board. So a lot of people, I think in the business, like if you're like me, my brain just goes, and it kind of feels like it's short circuiting with all the different things that I have going on, that sometimes at night, so I have the Trello app downloaded to my phone. So if you don't have that on your phone, make sure you have it. I will literally go to my project board and just like start brain dumping all the things that I have in my mind so that I can clear my head enough to sleep. And then that way it's all in the brain dump section. And then when it actually becomes relevant and I'm ready to work on it, then I go, whoop, I'm working on that one now, it's in queue. And then I'm working on it and then it's done. And then if you have regular tasks, you're like, what am I supposed to be doing daily, weekly, monthly? You can drop those in here as like a checklist, or you can do columns like this and then just have new cards like first of the month, I'm gonna post the promos for that month. Like if they're just regular tasks that you want to remember not to forget to do, you can organize yourself this way as well. So I really recommend this in some fashion. You have your thoughts, a place that you can brain dump, and then you only have 2 or 3 projects that you're working on at a time. Like if you have 15 things in the queue, you're gonna feel crazy. You're gonna feel so crazy. And so make sure that you only have a few things going on at once, because then you'll start seeing more things are getting done. And then bring on a new thing when that one works to completion. So those are the funnels. I hope you found them helpful. I do teach assistants how to use these funnels and how to support you in those processes. So if that's helpful to you, totally reach out to me afterwards and I can help you with that. What did we not talk about that would be helpful today? Is there anything else that we didn't get to that you would find helpful? Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, I'm available. If you wanted to stick around and ask some more questions, I'll stay on for 5 more minutes. If you're just like, I want to talk with you one-on-one for a second because I don't really know how to express this with the large group, I'm happy to stay on for a few minutes. But again, I'm always around if you need help. Feel free to send me some questions. I'm hoping to do these maybe monthly. So if you have your builders that also have questions and want to come on monthly, I'm hoping to do this a little bit more frequently as well. So it's been awesome working with you and I hope you find these helpful. Hopefully that relieved a little bit of stress as you're trying to figure out how to jump into using these and duplicating them so that it's not so overwhelming. And you all have, oh, let's see, Stacy says, oh, you're welcome, everybody, you're welcome. You train current VAs or the ones you have. I actually train current ones that you have as well. It's called Bring Your Own Assistant. And so I have ready to go assistants that I've already pre-trained. And then I have people that come to me all the time and say, can you just kind of up-level my current assistant? And we go through a whole program as well. So have any other questions about that, Stacy? Let's see.
So like if we're interested in that, we have one that's in the Philippines. So is it like in person or is it like there's something they walk through that's already?
That's a good question. It's an online course. And so what I would do is I'd plug them into my online training. And I do work with people internationally. I've worked with them in Japan and in Australia, in Ireland, Mexico, the Philippines. So I've worked with several different countries and I would plug them into my online training and they would go through all the different material. And then I meet with them one-on-one to kind of go over some more things in detail to help them kind of up-level themselves as well. And then it also includes working with you one-on-one because what I found is people are like, how do I best utilize this person that I have this resource? I don't know how to delegate or what to give them or what to have them do. So I work with you one-on-one as well for several coaching sessions to help you better delegate and know even like what tools are available to you for resources. Like project broadcast or, other things that I know other leaders are working on. Some people are like, can I just schedule time with you to hear what other people are doing? I'm like, sure, like that's awesome. Like I can tell you all the things that I know people are working on right now and that might help support you in your business too. So I can definitely do that in the Philippines.
Okay. And so where do we find that stuff at? It's just on your website?
Yeah. So meganlloyd.org/services. You'll see a bunch of material on that. I will drop that in there. And you can also email me at hello@meganlloyd.org if you want to know more. And we can set up a time to talk a little bit more about it too. So what it includes too is a bunch of my plug and play material. Because what I found is once assistants are getting going, they're all recreating the same content. And so I wanted to create things that they didn't have to create everything on their own. Like my customer engagement kits, I don't know if you're very familiar with those. They're included in this package with my assistants. If you end up having an assistant work with me, you also get my customer engagement kits, which is really cool.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions? The recording, I'm gonna post this. I'll email it to everybody who registered for this call. So I'll send that out to you as well if you registered. I'll make sure you get that recording, Andrea. And Chelsea had the same question. Let's see if I missed any other questions. Awesome, great. Well, thank you so much, everybody. It was awesome being with you. I'll stay on for just a minute or two if you still have other questions. Bye, everybody. Aloha, Raina. It's good to see you again. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.